Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Faculty Thought Leadership Series sponsored by the University of Hawaii Professional Assembly, or UPA, our faculty union. We have the leadership of UPA here to have a conversation with you today about how we can make UH a better place to teach, research, and serve the community. My name is Dr. Nani Azman. I teach psychology at UH Maui College, so yes, I got on a plane to get here this morning and braved rain on 2 different islands. I'm also secretary of the board. Right next to me, I've got Dr. Reza Garbani from College of Engineering. And we have President David Duffy, also from ecology, right? Yes, ecology. Botany, something. We've got Dr. Sharon Rowe from Kapiolani Community College, also our vice president of the board. And last but not least, Dr. Bob Cooney from School of Public Health, and our treasurer. So David, would you like to say? Oh, hold on a second. I also want to make note of our Chief Technology Officer, Peter Kay. Thank Dr. Brent Sipes, one of our directors on the board who will be helping us with the microphone. I also want to acknowledge Susan Horowitz, who's another board member in the audience. So thank you guys for coming. David, your opening remarks.
Thank you all. Am I on? Thanks for coming. We had competition. I'm not saying it will be more interesting, but I'm hoping that this will be useful. This is really a conversation. We want to have a conversation. This is not us telling you about UPA. And there are a variety of things that are leading UPA to get concerned about the future of UH. Typically, we defend the contract, we negotiate a contract. It's what we've done, and I think we do it very well. But more recently, it's become, there are issues that are brewing not just here, but across the country that will land on our shores. Some of them are already here, and they will have a major effect on our future. I'm sort of thinking that in some ways we're at the end of the golden age of the professors, and we're entering one that's we don't know how it's going to end up, but I suspect it's not going to be as good as it was. We've seen the decline in state funding for education. This reached its point with the Greatest Generation, with the GI Bill. Basically, they wanted to send everybody either to college or to technical training, and the result was brilliant. Now we feel as a people, or we seem to feel, that education is not a public good, it's a personal good. So students should buy it. We don't need to pay for them. Let's have them pay tuition. And so this is setting it started a sequence of events that are very worrying. We're under pressure to be more efficient, both because of students having to pay higher tuition. They want a better return on investment. That no longer means as much an education as an ability to get a job that pays well. So particularly the liberal arts are increasingly seen as something that gets in the way of a job. We're also seeing a tendency to monetarize, to see how you can make money out of education. So we have the MOOCs, someday I will pronounce them right, which have turned out to be a bit of a failure. These are the massive online education programs, and they work brilliantly for people who would probably be able to learn this stuff on their own. For marginal students, apparently they're a disaster. But people are going to retool them and come back, and once someone learns how to give credits for them, then the whole idea of a university is going to possibly be rearranged, assuming that's where we want to go. We also have with more tuition, we have the rise of student debt. Hawaii is first in the country in being last. I believe we have the lowest student debt on graduation. It's only $17,000. And one of my grad students, and she's a grad student, not an undergrad, just finished with $150,000 worth of debt. She came from a first-generation family. Her parents were actually illegal immigrants. It's a spectacular story, but and she's now a faculty member out at Leeward. But how is she going to make that happen in the future? I don't know. So all our students are faced with that problem. It means that they can't go and do wild things like teach English, or they won't have any money left. They can't go off and found their own businesses. They're going to need to do things that are nice and safe, that guarantee a salary. So that has wider implications for the whole country that no one really seems to be too concerned about. We also have the rise of part-time faculty. We may be sort of the last of a generation where faculty were expected to be full-time, to be tenured, to make a long-term commitment to a university, with the university making a commitment to them. Instead, we see increasingly people being forced to teach one or two or three courses less than half time, especially recently, so they don't get medical benefits. And the evidence is emerging that if you aren't a full-time faculty member, you're not as good a teacher because you've got other things distracting you, like getting to the next campus to teach the next course. You don't really have time for advising. You may not even have a place to advise. And so the quality is going, even as the efficiency is growing. Another insidious thing is that with part-time faculty, they're not involved in governance. They're not involved in organizing courses, reviewing how they're doing, looking at teaching tracks. They don't have time for that. Usually they're not expected to do it. So finally, we have the rise of an administrative class. In the old days, the senior faculty or middle faculty would sort of come off the bench, serve as a dean or vice chancellor, and then after a couple of years go back to teaching. And this had they had a vested interest in not ruining the place. Now we have a sort of a transient population that don't expect to stay at a place more than 5 years. They're off to their next job. And what this means is to get the next job, they've got to do something flashy. It doesn't necessarily have to survive for the 6th year, but it has to look good when they go and apply for other jobs. They have no institutional memory usually, and so they're up against a faculty that do have the memory, but have less and less of the power as the faculty don't go into administration. We're increasingly busy. The teaching loads have been creeping up. The demands of research have become frightening. And so we're willing to abrogate our responsibilities to administrators. And in the old days, that was very much less the case. So now we have professionals doing it, but whether they're doing a better job really boils down to individuals.